Forward! Keep low, stay tight!
Movement left!
Complete! Push forward! Go! Laying fire!
Contact down the street!
Move! Cover the left!
Ready! Firing!
Get it! Go! Grenade!
Down!
Push again! Keep them pinned!
Target right!
Вперед, товарищи! Еще немного!
Есть!
Поднимай знамя.
This is an ordinary address, one building on a city square. But for 60 days in the bitter winter of 1942, this address became the epicenter of a battle that would define the Second World War. This is the story of Stalingrad, told from inside a single apartment block known as Pavlov's house. In the summer of 1942, the German Sixth Army, one of the most powerful formations of its time, pushed deep into the Soviet Union. Their target was Stalingrad, a city stretched along the western bank of the mighty Volga River. More than just an industrial hub, its name made it a symbol. For Hitler, its capture was a matter of prestige. For Stalin, its defense was a matter of national survival. The German advance was swift. They swept across the plains, covering vast distances under the summer sun. But their supply lines were stretched thin, a logistical thread that grew more fragile with every mile. On the 23rd of August, the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, unleashed a devastating bombing campaign. In one day, much of Stalingrad was reduced to a smoldering labyrinth of shattered concrete and twisted steel. But in doing so, they inadvertently created the perfect battlefield for the defenders. The city became a fortress of ruins. This is where our building enters the story. Located on a central square, it offered a clear line of sight for nearly a kilometer in 3 directions, directly overlooking a critical approach to the Volga. A small reconnaissance platoon, led by Sergeant Yakov Pavlov, was ordered to seize and hold it. They did, finding a handful of civilians still living in the basement, too terrified to flee. Immediately, the soldiers began to fortify their new position. They bricked up windows, creating narrow firing slits. They knocked holes in interior walls to move between rooms without exposing themselves. They dug a communications trench connecting them to friendly positions. This 4-story apartment building was no longer a home. It was a fortress. The fighting in Stalingrad was unlike anything seen before. The front line wasn't a neat line on a map. It was a chaotic, 3-dimensional struggle. Streets became killing zones. The battle was fought for individual floors, rooms, and stairwells. Snipers became kings, their deadly patience dictating movement during the day. At night, under the glare of flares, assault groups would crawl through sewers and rubble to storm enemy-held positions. In this urban grinder, life was measured in meters gained and lost. Pavlov's house stood as a stubborn island in this sea of chaos, repelling attack after attack. Everything the city's defenders needed, food, ammunition, and fresh soldiers, had to cross the Volga. Every night, under the cover of darkness and fog, barges and small boats made the perilous journey. They were shelled, bombed, and strafed. Many didn't make it. The icy water of the river became a graveyard for men and material. This fragile lifeline was the key to Stalingrad's survival. For the men in Pavlov's house, the sound of a boat engine in the distance was the sound of hope. The 2 commanders locked in this struggle represented 2 opposing philosophies. For the Soviet general Vasily Chukov, the plan was simple: hug the enemy. His men were to stay as close to the Germans as possible, neutralizing their superiority in air power and artillery. It was a brutal meat grinder strategy, but it worked. Across the lines, the German commander, Friedrich Paulus, was constrained by his own doctrine and Hitler's absolute refusal to allow any retreat. He was forced to feed his divisions into the city's rubble, where their tactical advantages disappeared. As summer turned to autumn, a new enemy appeared for both sides: winter. On the 19th of November, 1942, the Soviets launched a massive counteroffensive codenamed Operation Uranus. 2 powerful pincers attacked the weak Romanian and Hungarian armies, protecting the German flanks. In just 4 days, the trap snapped shut at the town of Kalak, west of Stalingrad. The entire German Sixth Army, nearly 300,000 men, was encircled. Radio messages from Paulus's headquarters back to Germany crackled with disbelief, but the reality was undeniable. They were trapped. For the soldiers inside the pocket, the world shrank. The primary enemies were no longer just Soviet soldiers, but hunger and the profound, relentless cold. Temperatures plummeted to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Rations were cut again and again until a day's food was a slice of bread and thin soup. Ammunition was strictly counted. Fuel ran out. Frostbite claimed more victims than combat. Inside Pavlov's house, the small garrison held on, a microcosm of the wider army's suffering, but still supplied, however tenuously. From across the Volga, Hermann Göring, head of the Luftwaffe, promised Hitler he could supply the trapped army from the air. It was a fantasy. The Russian winter, combined with fierce anti-aircraft fire, made the Airbridge a catastrophic failure. Not nearly enough supplies could be flown in. The visuals were stark. Stockpiles dwindling, planes crashing in the snow, and the gaunt faces of starving soldiers looking to the sky for a salvation that would never come. By January 1943, the end was near. The Soviets sliced the German pocket into smaller, more manageable pieces. The Sixth Army disintegrated. On the 31st of January, Field Marshal Paulus, recently promoted by Hitler in a veiled suggestion to choose death over dishonor, surrendered from his headquarters in the basement of a department store. A few days later, the last resistance ceased. Remarkably, through it all, Pavlov's house had never fallen. It remained in Soviet hands until the very end. The Battle of Stalingrad was over. The human cost was staggering, with total casualties estimated at nearly 2 million. It was a turning point. After Stalingrad, the German army would never again regain the strategic initiative on the Eastern Front. The city was rebuilt, rising from its own ashes. Today, Pavlov's house still stands, incorporated into a new apartment building. A brick memorial on its side commemorates the soldiers who held it. It remains a quiet, powerful symbol of endurance, a testament to how, in the crucible of war, one ordinary address can become a legend. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more deep dives into history, told through the story of a single place, let us know your suggestions in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more.